Hi, welcome to the Interaxis channel and Interaxis.io. We're going to start talking about some of the building blocks of DeFi, decentralized finance, whether it's on Ethereum or other blockchains. And today we're going to start talking about oracles. But before we do that, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We put out content like this a few times a week, and we think that you'll probably want to see what else we have in store, what else we're thinking about, what else we want to talk about. And if you want to do that, you have to subscribe so you get these videos as soon as they come out. We have more coming out about the building blocks, about lending, staking, about decentralized finance, about blockchain, about different industries. We want you to see that, so subscribe and follow us on Twitter at Interaxis8. So here we go. We're going to start talking about oracles. Let's take a step back, just as we do with all these products, with all these services, with all these building blocks we talk about, and go into the financials and what are they? What is an oracle? Take a step back, and the easiest way I think to describe oracles is actually talking about something like sports betting. So we have our ubiquitous Adam and Ron, and Adam and Ron place a bet on a football game, and I'm talking about American football. So sorry for all my friends in anywhere else in the world that don't think of American football as football, but let's say that Adam puts a bet on the Texans, Ron puts a bet on the Cowboys. They're playing a football game. We bet $100. Now, at the end of the game, we both have watched the game, or maybe we haven't even watched the game. We both check our phone. We can check ESPN.com, CBSSports.com, Yahoo Sports, whatever else we want to. We can look at Facebook, Twitter, wherever else and find out who won the game probably. All right. And when we find out who won the game, we decide, okay, the Texans won the game. Adam gets the $100. Now, this relationship works, again, because we have some level of trust. Okay? We know each other. We can place that bet. We didn't have to put this $100 in escrow because we know each other. Because I know that if the Texans win, Ron is good for the money. And he knows that if the Cowboys win, I'm good for the money. Okay? So now, the problem is that relationship right there, that trust relationship, does not scale. Okay, I can't go just find people. I can't just go look around or email or throw something out there that says, hey, who wants to place a bet with me? And find someone else who wants to, and we completely trust each other to place the bet. And if I win, then Ron, whoever this Ron is anywhere else in the world, is actually going to pay me. That level of trust does not scale very well. So what you potentially have is someone to come in and take over that level of trust. A market maker, we'll call it in this case, a sports book. All right, so a sports book comes in and says, hey, we'll be the market. We'll take these bets. And Adam, if you want to bet the Texans, that means we're taking the Cowboys. Ron, if you want to take the Cowboys, that means we're taking the Texans. Okay, so the sports book in this case is essentially the market maker for sports betting. Okay, we have outsourced trust here. And part of that trust means they're actually holding our money in escrow. We've given them the $100, and if we win the bet, we get to go back with our little betting slip and say, hey, I won the bet. And they go, yep, you did. And they give us our, they pay me $200 right now. They pay me $200 after that. Now, that level of trust, I have that level of trust in them that they're going to pay it because they're a multi-billion-dollar company, and it'd be really bad form if they didn't pay off a bet that I actually won. Okay, that is a legal sports book. Now, there are, of course, illegal sports book. There are bookies, whatever else. And there you actually have to have that level of trust again. Okay, now, all that being said, we all agree that we know, we can look and see what the score is, right? There's one football game. We can watch it on TV. We can look later and see what the score is. I can look on my phone, on the computer, on TV, whatever it might be, and we decided what the score is. Now, I don't have to decide with the sports book or with Ron what the oracle is, but let's just say we said, look, we're going to decide that the oracle will be ESPN.com. Okay, what that means is I don't care, the sports book doesn't care, Ron doesn't care what any other website, TV, Twitter, your buddy, anyone says. If CBSSports.com says the Cowboys won and ESPN.com says the Texans won, this is what we're going for as the oracle. Okay, so if ESPN.com says the Texans won, I win the bet. We've all agreed that is the oracle. Okay, that's essentially what an oracle is. Why are why are oracles so important? Because now what we've done in decentralized finance, okay, is potentially we have taken this relationship, this betting potential relationship, and we've made it what's called trustless, right? And we've talked over and over and over again about being trustless. So wait. Okay, so in the trustless world, it means that we are essentially outsourcing to code this relationship, right? So we have this code here. It's now trustless. Adam and Ron are essentially now two wallets, two IDs. We don't know each other at all. And we make the same bet, right? Texans, Cowboys. We don't know each other. I don't trust that he's going to pay. He doesn't trust that I'm going to pay. But we don't have to, because what we've done is we've locked up our $100, or in this case maybe 100 DAI, in a smart contract. And that smart contract, as much as they're called smart contracts, they're not very smart. And the smart contract says, I'm going to hold this 100 DAI right here. And I'm going to keep looking. And when this game is over, I'm going to look at this oracle. And if this oracle is ESPN.com, I'm going to look here. And whichever team ESPN.com says won the game, that's who I'm going to pay. The smart contract is going to pay the money to. Okay, it's going to release this 100 DAI to my wallet. Okay, not to Ron's, and it's looked here. This is the oracle for a smart contract. And again, because now we don't have to necessarily rely on a bookie. We don't have to rely on a sports book to place that bet against. That doesn't have to be the market maker. We can we can find our own bet. I can bet actually with another person. And the reason is because this code can create a market of people on one side who want to bet the Texans and people on the other side who want to bet the Cowboys. This has created a market, and then by virtue of this, it's created these smart contracts. It says if I choose this person, we decide on the terms. It goes into the smart contract. There's an escrow here, essentially. The money gets tied up, locked in a smart contract, which is essentially escrow. And this smart contract is looking to this oracle and deciding who won the game. And when the game's over again, the oracle says the Texans won, game over. Okay, Adam wins the DAI. Okay, but it doesn't know it's Adam, it just knows it's my wallet. So that's why oracles are so important. Now, all that being said, decentralized oracles are a little bit different, because in this case it's very simple. We can say, look, we're going to go with ESPN.com because it's very unlikely that ESPN.com is going to be different than CBS Sports or NBC Sports or whatever else it might be. Everyone watched the game. We kind of know who won the game. Imagine, though, that this is some other metric. So imagine, though, that we now have, we won't call it a bet, but now there's a financial transaction. Right, and the financial transaction says, okay, again, we have Adam and Ron, and we've somehow found each other, and Adam and Ron can be people, they can be wallets, they can be businesses working together, this can be some sort of derivative, whatever it might be. And I say, Ron, look, if the price of ETH gets below 150. Let's say if the price of ETH gets below $150 US dollars, I will give you one ETH. All right. If it doesn't, you give me one ETH. If it gets above 200, you give me one ETH. Okay. Now the problem here is we know that there are so many different ways to judge this value. Right? Are we going to look on, is this going to be based on Coinbase prices? Is it going to be based on BitMEX? Is it going to be based on Uniswap? Okay, there are all these different places you can get this value. This doesn't even have to be cryptocurrency. Okay, this can be anything in the world. It could be the price of oil. It could be the price of gold. It could be anything else in the world. And we have to decide where we're going to look for this price. Because what happens if on Coinbase the price gets to 151, but on Bitwise or BitMEX it gets to 149? Well, that's a big difference, because it's the difference between my having to give an ETH or not give an ETH. Okay, here it's only a $2 difference, and we see that all the time. We see $1 and $2 differences all the time, but this makes a big difference. Now, let's say that Ron somehow could influence this, could influence these and go, man, I really want that ETH. Therefore, I'm going to make a transaction where I buy, 0.05 ETH here for $149 just to drive this price down just a little bit, and then I can collect the ETH from Adam. Well, can that happen? Of course that can happen. We've seen it happen in the decentralized world. We call them hacks sometimes, but they're not really hacks. They're just people gaming the system, because they know if there's one oracle and I can change the price on that oracle, I can enact some other smart contract that's looking at that particular oracle for the price feed and going, okay, this happened. Okay, so it was below 150. This happened. Therefore, give Ron 1 ETH. And that's all it's looking for, because again, it's a smart contract, but it's dumb. All it knows is look here, give Ron the ETH. So what do we have to have? We have to have some other way to create oracles. We have to have some decentralized way that isn't as subject to the gamification. It's not subject to someone like Ron saying, I want this ETH so badly, I can do a 0.05 ETH transaction, drive the price down, move this oracle, and boom, I get ETH. And that's what we're trying to avoid. So we have the advent of these decentralized oracles. Band protocol, Chainlink, which is the biggest one on the block. Teller is one. So what these decentralized oracles are doing is, on one hand, they're going, look, all you derivative exchanges, payment processors, or whatever else, we want to be the oracle of choice. Okay, so we want to be the oracle of choice for Uniswap, we'll call it, for Coinbase, whatever it might be. We want to be the oracle that you choose. Why do we want to be the oracle, or one of the oracles you choose? Well, we're going to go out and we're going to create an incentive structure to maybe source a whole bunch of different prices. So we want to be the oracle for the price of ETH, we'll call it. Okay, and we can say this is Chainlink, Band, Teller. I don't want to tell you which oracle to use or tell you which oracles we think are good or whatever. This is just talk about oracles in general. So this oracle is going to go say, we want to be the oracle that you use. We want to be the price feed you use to determine your particular derivatives or your particular financial transactions. What we're going to do is we're going to find all these other price feeds on the price of ETH, and we're going to create a way that this is decentralized, that that all of these even can't be manipulated. And it might cost more to manipulate all of these to drive this than it would to just mine this or stake this. And some of these decentralized oracles are done through a period of staking. So they might call out and say, hey, we need a price feed on ETH. Okay, everyone tell us your price. And all these put in the price of ETH, say, 150, 151, 149, 150, and the way these oracles might work is they might take an average, they might go, we're going to use the most used ones, and by the way, if anyone comes in here at like 136, we're going to toss it out. And if anyone comes in here at 136 and they all usually have to stake some sort of token, and they come in so low or so high or whatever that we see that they're trying to game the system, not only are we going to throw their number out, but we're going to take their tokens. So they've staked, they've given a bad number, they've acted maliciously, we're actually going to take their tokens. There's no incentive there to try to game the system. And in doing so, we're going to create this decentralized oracle that is, one, transparent, which is extremely important, but now this oracle, since it's already on chain, it's already on the Ethereum blockchain, it's really easy for it to be fed into all these places. Now, the oracles that we're going to need not only are getting data, not only are getting prices from on-chain assets, because this is kind of easy to get prices from different decentralized exchanges. But now you're going to need price feeds from outside the world, right? You have potentially synthetic assets, synthetic you can be trading synthetic, and we'll talk about this in another one, but you can be trading like synthetic S&P 500 or oil or gold or whatever it might be. It might be synthetic Apple stock. Okay, and you got to figure out what your price fee. Where are you getting the price for all these? Where are you determining what that is? So you're going to need an oracle to go out to these markets that are actually outside of blockchain. They're outside of on-chain price feeds. They might be going to Bloomberg or CNBC or Reuters or some other feeds and saying, we need to get this data, but we need to do it in a somewhat decentralized way. Give us this data. We're going to make sure it's correct. And if it's not correct, we're going to take your stake from you. So you are not incented to give us bad numbers. And on top of that, we're going to take this and we're either going to average or, median or, top 3 or whatever it might be. However they determine this is the price, and we're going to do it over and over and over again. We're going to prove ourselves that we can't be gamed. Our system cannot be gamed, and then we're going to give price feeds, price oracles and such. So that is why oracles are so important, because as we get towards a more decentralized finance system, a system that utilizes smart contracts to determine what prices are. It might utilize smart contracts, again, to determine location, right? We might use oracles, decentralized feeds for things like drought, right, to measure drought. So if you're getting crop insurance, if you're a farmer, whether you're in America, Asia, India, whatever, and you need crop insurance, and you go, look, if we don't get a certain amount of rain this year, then I have insurance that's going to cover me, and I want that insurance to be decentralized because that's the only way it makes sense from a financial standpoint, and we'll talk about insurance in another video. That's the only way it makes sense. Well, how do we determine drought? How are we detecting rainfall? We can't just look at 1 meter. We have to look at all these rain meters, these rain gauges, in all different parts of the area, because there might be a lot of rain in one section and not in another. There might be 1 meter that isn't even working. So we're going to look at all of these meters. We're going to figure out, based on the rules of our oracle, right, the governance of this oracle, which of these meters we're going to choose to be the oracle for this data feed, and then we're going to send that up to the smart contract, and it's going to decide if since I bought this insurance, get paid. So it's not just price feeds. It can be things like rain. It can be things like location. It can be things like how fast cars are going. Whatever it might be, all sorts of data is going to have to be fed eventually into Ethereum in this case, but different blockchain systems to enact decentralized finance, because these smart contracts are looking for data. They run when certain data numbers are hit, and that's what they're looking for. And the efficiency of smart contracts is we don't have to trust each other. We don't have to decide. We can better find each other on a peer-to-peer basis, but the only way that works is if we can trust the data. And we can say we're going to escrow, we're going to lock money in a smart contract that's going to move to one wallet or another based on certain data feeds, and we have to trust that data is valid. We have to trust that someone can't pour a bunch of water in a meter and that's the only data we use to enact this insurance. We have to trust that someone isn't driving up the price of gold just so they can collect on some other derivative. Okay, we have to trust all that, and the only way to do it is have an oracle that has rules that says we're not going to look at just one price feed, we're going to look at many. And if someone's acting malicious, we're going to ding them. There have to be incentives that say it is not worth it for someone to try to game the system. It's actually better for them to try to contribute to the system. So that is a little bit about oracles and how important they are now, and how even more important they are going to be going forward. These decentralized oracles, these ways to get data from all these different sources that are on or off chain and get them on chain so that we can use smart contracts and trust them. That's the most important piece. We need to trust the smart contracts because we can't always trust each other. So that's a bit about oracles. Hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe so you can get more content like this. Follow us on Twitter at Interaxis8. Visit our website, interaxis.io, and we'll see you in the next video.